What I've got for you today is a very, messy start to a best of 7 series, where apparently none other than Serral misclicked 3 of his workers, washed up? Can't believe it. His opponent in this particular game, spotting right here in a red, playing with the SCVs, we're looking inside of the main base of Nicoract. Now, this is a special best of 7 because it's not just a single game between 2 players. This is a team league match. These games were played a couple of days ago as part of the WardiTV 2026 Team League, meaning that we get a best of 7, but it's between 8 players, and all those players will be part of the series as well. We're going to be having a look at 1v1s, but we're also having a look at some 2v2s to decide who ends up winning the best of 7 in the end. So, we're starting off with Serral going up against Nicoract. Now, Nicoract is certainly not a bad player, but for obvious reasons, Serral is the favorite because he's favored against probably everybody other than maybe Clem. I heard, though, that this particular best of 7 is incredible. So let's talk about the teams real quick. Serral is on a team with 3 other players. Now, they're called Team Basilisk, even though there's only 3 players on Basilisk. So for Team Basilisk, we have Serral, we have Reynor, and we have Trigger. And then because they needed a 4th member, and obviously Wardy wanted Team Basilisk to be part of the tournament as well, they also invited Goblin. So Goblin is also playing under the Basilisk banner. And then for the other team, so they're called StalnieBalls. I believe these are 4 players from Russia. We have GgMaChine, Nicoract, Shameless, and YoungYakov. Now, in my mind, that's a very lopsided matchup, but from what I've heard, this particular series is incredible. So we'll find out together, because Team Basilisk, in my mind, is like 17 steps ahead of the rest. I mean, at the highest level of StarCraft, like all of these guys are going to be high-ranking Grandmasters, right? Also on Team StalnieBalls, but it's still not entirely fair most of the time, because guys like Serral just absolutely demolish the competition. Either way, the first game is going to take place on 10,000 feet. All of the games, by the way, are going to be on pre-decided maps. Serral decides to go for a safety. Okay, a safety spine crawler. He didn't actually see the double Rex opener over here. He doesn't really need the spine. Decides to cancel it right now. Thought for a second he was going to play ridiculously safe, but that is unnecessary. From what I understand, the maps have been decided in advance, and then the teams basically assign players to the maps. Oh, well, he gets a drone kill right there. That's not bad whatsoever. We are, by the way, on the Basque GG clan. I wonder if that's the Korean clan of Basilisk, because we also do not have the decal spinning around on the main hatchery. I doubt it. Maybe it's the... No, it shouldn't be the North American server. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But normally, Clan Basilisk does have like a decal spinning around on it. Maybe they switch because Goblin is part of it? I'm not entirely sure. We should just be playing on EU, though. Anyways, we're gonna go for 2 additional barracks inside of the main base. A cheeky engineering bay as well behind the mineral line, but already Serral is scouting and he has seen precisely what is going on. Nicoract over here is trying to go for a cheeky little all-in. Okay. At the very least, this is going to be... Well, let's not call it an all-in. Apparently, that's bad wording. Let's call it what Blizzard always used to call it. Let's call it dedicated pressure. Blizzard would never, for example, in their patch notes refer to cheese. They would always dedicate it to, or they would always assign it to dedicated pressure. That's how they would label things. Either way, we're going to be seeing, I would imagine here, Stimpack together with combat shields in just a second. +1 indeed already coming up inside of the NG Bay. And this is just going to be, we actually have Stimpack over here. This is just going to be a ridiculous amount of Marines. And then probably maybe some medevacs as well in a moment if you really want to. But I think we're just gonna make a ridiculous amount of Marines, and that's effectively it. So combat shields on the back of this too, and indeed a reactor on that, well, 4th Rex inside of the main base. He'll be pumping out Marines, and then more Marines, and then more Marines. And it's very much up to Serral here to make sure that he defends against this ridiculous amount of units that will go across. There is not going to be much of a follow-up. We do not have a factory, so forget about the medevac follow-up that I suggested. It's not going to be happening. Nicoract is just going to go for 1 gigantic attack. Okay. He even pulled out a gas right now. Look. No more mining. And he decides to send the boys with it as well. Are we gonna go from the natural expansion too? Now this is a ridiculous attack. Honestly, a stupid amount of units, and by the time that they get across the map, Combat shields will be nearly done, and plus one attack will also be lined up brilliantly. This is a really scary push. Serral is desperately trying to make some spines right now. He does have a Baneling Nest. He's getting a wall going, but I wonder if the finisher actually overdroned. This is the world champion of StarCraft 2, seemingly getting caught off guard against Nicoract. Oh, it comes down to the Bane hits, but I mean, with good micro, Nicoract should be able to jump on it, and he does jump the Banelings. The Banes do finish up, but there's not enough of them. There's a few more coming. Oh, he can't even believe it himself. This is game over. There's no way Serral can hold this. There's 4 Banes more available. Good targeting this time around. Yeah, this is GG. Ay, ay, ay. I thought Serral scouted it perfectly. All right. Well, that takes us to game number 2 in this Team League match. Spotting right here in the upper left this time around. Playing in blue, we have none other than, well, Basilisk Ray. That is certainly Reynor. His opponent down in the bottom right, also playing with the Zerg pieces. We have the young Russian player who goes by the name of GgMaChine. And I just looked it up. He is currently 16 years old. I had to make... Maybe this is me getting older, but I did a bit of a double take. Because in his Wikipedia, it says that he's born in 2009. And in my mind, the math didn't really line up. But no. No, this guy is almost as old as StarCraft 2 is. As a matter of fact... I think GgMaChine didn't... Yeah, that's right. He did not yet turn 1 year old when StarCraft 2 released. It kind of hurts. It kind of stings. But that is... Yeah, that is... especially with a newborn at home right now, man. That is... That's such a ridiculous thought. Anyways, a very quick 1-0 lead right here. Yeah. For Team Red. For the StalnieBalls. Why are they called that? What's that username? What is that? What team name? I don't know. Anyways. Again, a bit of a mismatch. But I do know that Reynor is most definitely over in Korea right now. He's for some reason not playing on his main account. This is... I mean, normally he's on like the same team as Serral, right? So it's like Basilisk and then Reynor. The reason, I guess, why he's going by the name of Ray this time around is because he had to rename his account and there's like a character limit. So we decided to just remove the Nor part out of the username. Fair enough. That does mean that he's playing on a different account, and I would imagine then that he's also playing this Zerg versus Zerg with a little bit of ping. And ZVZ with cross-server ping is terrible. It's so bad. It is extremely painful. So I think I'm going to give the ping advantage right here to GgMaChine. I'm assuming we're on EU. We could also be on North America. Usually that comes down to the tournament organizer. And actually thinking about it, Wardy will likely force the NA server. But regardless, Zerg versus Zerg with any sort of ping is just kind of annoying. There is only so much you can really do when... when there is a little bit of a delay. Now, we have ourselves a very quick third hatchery here, building for GgMaChine. This is one of those builds, like, if I see this, and my opponent is going for a proxy hatch like this, or not really a proxy hatch, but like a third hatchery like this, and it's not built on the third base location like Reynor's is, I usually will assume it's some sort of Ling all-in. So he's making a wall with it, but also getting a Roach Warren. Little bit strange. Yeah, Evo Chamber on the back of this as well. Reynor is going to scout this in just a moment. And the sky really is the limit. Like, what in the world is happening behind that wall of the opponent? He will now see that there's no third hatch. He will not be able to really get an easy scout of the main base off either. Now, there's no quick lair here for GgMaChine, but really, this could be a quick lair with Murast. It can be a Ling Flood. This could even be like a Hive Rush. It can be many things. And Reynor is effectively going to have to either take a gamble or prepare for everything. Now, considering he's certainly the higher ranked player in this game, he's likely going to try and just prepare for literally all possibilities, but it's not such an easy call to make. You can sometimes get a little bit of a poke in and see if the evolution chamber is wiggling. That would at the very least give you somewhat of an indication. Sometimes that will mean that we at the very least do not have, like, say, a Muta plague with like really quick upgrades going, or you can see that the roach warren does not have like the little baby roach coming out from the inside. There's like a little face over here that indicates that something's researching. But what we've got over here is a good old 2-base all-in with a Ling Flood and then a bunch of roaches moving out. Yeah, this is yet again a scary attack, honestly. Reynor is not really prepared for this yet. He is going... Oh, wow. He's going for a Spore Crawler. That's not what we need at all. What we need is a Spine Crawler, man. This is a full-on push from the player in red. And GgMaChine is not likely to slow down. I don't even think... Is he going to go for the third? I wonder if he should go for the third. Should he not just go straight for the natural? Yeah, I think he should go for the throat. A lot of links are flooding across the map right now. I think we're going to make Banes. Banes would make a lot of sense. There it is. This is scary, guys. Reynor only has Zerglings of his own. He's starting to make some roaches now, but he does not have the numbers. Reinforcing units show up. Banelings, though, are now available. Oh, no. Roaches are just about to pop out. Bunch of Banelings are slipping through the cracks. The queens are being surrounded. What is happening in this match? What is going on right now? Wait, are we seeing the world's greatest Zerg players? Do we see them both getting destroyed in like 5 minutes time? This is too many losses. Reynor is... I mean, at least he should be super dead. Maybe he can stabilize and force the macro game. But this is such a significant advantage right now for GgMaChine that... I mean, even if he has to play a bit of a macro game on the back of it, he's still like, he's like a top 50 player on the planet. This is not something that he should really be giving up on. I mean, unless he just doubles down and keeps sending in Zerglings. Nah, he's going to transition. Look, we have a third hatchery coming up. Lair also now morphing in. +1 missile on the production tab. Zerglings still getting some good, valuable trades. Okay. Reynor is playing this massively from behind now. The real problem is that he's got only 24 workers, whereas GgMaChine is fully saturated on 2 bases, and he's preparing for a counter all-in. Yeah, this is great. This is honestly really, really good right here for GgMaChine. The roaches will test the waters. I would imagine we can snipe the third hatchery maybe, but even that is not going to be easy. The third hatchery, though, of Reynor is still up. GgMaChine does have some overextended overlords. And that's a little annoying, but only 2 of those Ravager Biles available at the moment. So he's not just going to be able to kill them easy peasy. I think it's a clean follow-up. Yeah, he canceled the spines when he realized the all-in wasn't coming. It kind of looked like it for a moment. Did not overcommit. +1 missile coming up right now together with the Roach speed upgrade. I think what GgMaChine can go ahead and do next is go for a push when those upgrades are done. He needs to be careful he does not overdrone. 55 workers, though, which is where he's ending up right now, is just about perfect. The odds of Reynor being able to go into a Spire are basically 0. Yeah, this is one of my favorite things about team leagues. Like, it's very tempting as a StarCraft 2 commentator to only pay attention to the really big names, right? But this is an up-and-coming player that I think you should all be familiar with. Not afraid to just play the now follow-up here of a macro game. That's not easy. Like, you could execute a cheese, right? And then put it all in one attack and then hope for the best. But this is him now playing a very formidable macro game on the back of it and looking clean while doing so. I think Reynor is kind of in trouble. I don't really see what he can do. He's gonna scout, doesn't really find much info. Roach speed is just about to finish up. So here we go for attack wave number 2. And this one may be the killing blow. Reynor needs to hold this. He is quite significantly behind. Reynor, by the way, in much of a same way. Oh, actually, we have the Roach push going back home. Alright, we're apparently a little bit overly concerned for those Zerglings here, maybe feeling the nerves a little bit too. But Reynor likewise also came up right around the age of 16. That is when, Reynor first really started showing good results in tournaments. I think GgMaChine is feeling the heat a little bit. You can see that the army movement is not nearly as clean, not nearly as smooth as it was, but here we go. Stutter Step microing into it. Reynor fighting without the Spine Crawler being in range, and I think there's enough roaches for the player in red. Yeah, I think there are enough units right now for the player in red. Even without it, though, there's still a drone advantage. The Spine is so nice, right? The Spine really does make life easier. Now the Zerglings, they were chasing those other links. They're joining in with the rest of the army. No roach speed yet right here for Reynor, so his units in blue cannot really run away. It's still close, though. Ooh, he's over-microing it. You see how he's missing an attack? He wants to jump the Ravager. GgMaChine, don't throw it now. Oh, he's feeling the heat, man. He knows how close he is, but you gotta be so careful. The workers get pulled right now of Reynor. And I think despite a bunch of misplays, I think GgMaChine, yep, is gonna get what he likes the most. GG. Okay. And that now takes us to game number 3 in this best of 7 Team League match, which takes place on a map called Yellow Jacket. And Yellow Jacket is a 4-player map. Spawning right here in the upper section, playing in blue, we have Serral. His teammate playing right here in the teal colors. We're looking inside of the main base of Goblin. Their opponents, now apparently joined by the decal. Yo, they have a Team League decal? Let's go. We have none other than GgMaChine again. And then down in the bottom section of the map, we're looking at his teammate who goes by the name of Shameless. Oh man, we mix in a little bit of 2v2 as well. That is hype. 2v2 is very much so an undiscovered, I mean, okay, maybe undiscovered is a little bit overly dramatic, but other than the euthermal 2v2 leagues, we haven't really seen a lot of competition in 2v2 over the years. Right now, the skill level in 2v2 is still, you know, reasonably high, but how experienced are Goblin and Serral? We have seen Serral participate in some of those 2v2 events, but it's still not nearly as refined as 1v1 is. Like 1v1, it's like a spreadsheet, right? Like we kind of know what numbers will come out at the bottom. We have a reasonable estimation, although so far in the games that we've seen today, those guesstimations have been horribly wrong. 2v2, though, in my mind, is very much so up in the air. And look, you may be the highest ranked player in the world, in the case of Serral. Shameless and GgMaChine are both top 50 players for sure. They're really good. And it doesn't really take much for them to have like a better synergy in 2v2. And considering they went out of their ways and they actually built a clan decal, right? And they actually like joined the clan and everything. I think they're putting in a little bit of effort. I wouldn't be surprised if they've been practicing some 2v2s. Okay, enough hyping them up. Let's see if they can actually get the job done. Goblin is scouting around on the other side of the map and he has seen what is happening. A little bit of a piling block here over in the natural expansion of Shameless too. It's annoying. By the way, GgMaChine and Shameless are crossing. I feel like this was one of the rules of 2v2 where you don't cross with a Zerg. Problem is that you cannot build on creep here, even if your ally, you know, is a Zerg player. You cannot build on it, so yeah, we're gonna have to make sure that there's not too much moving around there. Maybe it's actually the right call. You know what? Maybe it's actually the correct play. Protoss static defense is usually a bit better. So, yeah, maybe having Protoss for that natural is actually the superior move. Because normally if Zerg would spawn over here, then the creep is located in that location of the map a little bit quicker, and you'd kind of need the Zerg to build the static defense. Anyhow, Phoenix coming up right here for Shameless. That is the go-to in 2v2 in general. It's a really powerful unit. Maybe not so much in 1v1. We don't see it as much anymore. I guess sometimes in Protoss versus Terran and Protoss versus Protoss. But in 2v2, I think that this unit may just be S tier. One of the very best. GgMaChine also going for a Baneling Nest yet again, though. So let's see what he can build this time around. We do not have a cheeky Roach Warren for him. Serral, in the meantime, on the other side of the map, doing Serral things, it seems. Playing it relatively passively. Goblin does complete the wall off here to prevent Shameless from getting into the base. I actually think playing passive games of StarCraft is the superior way of doing it, most of the time. But in 2v2, you have to, like, also add communication into the mix. And it's so hard. I don't mind it at all if you decide to be a more aggressive team in 2v2 instead, because I just think it leads to better results most of the time. Like, in theory, what Serral and Goblin are doing in this game, I think it's good. but it's very risky because there are so many undiscovered paths and strategies in 2v2 that you can just be caught off guard. Serral's gonna scout though. He will see the second Stargate, and that is gonna spoil the Phoenix surprise right now too. Goblin in the meantime, by the way, is going into Blink Stalkers. So we're gonna have Roachling from Serral. Stalkers right here from Goblin, so that's a reasonable team. GgMaChine is going Lingbane Roach, it seems. And then we have a ton of Phoenixes right here for Shameless. Now, you can lift up Lynx. It's a waste of energy. Better to just, threaten it maybe and just back off. Okay. Evolution Chamber coming up as well for Serral. Really just trying to stay alive, though. Fires up the lair right now, and you know what? We see the same thing right here for GgMaChine, who now fires up a bunch of gases of his own. No lair yet, though. So that's a bit funky. We are not building a lair anywhere. Are we doing a roach push right now? In my mind, and maybe I'm mistaken, but in my mind, Phoenixes are kind of like this long-term unit, you know? Like, it's good for harassment. It's good for building the game, but it's not great for all-inning. This kind of looks like an all-in, though, here from GgMaChine. I'm hoping for them that this is not going to be a bit of a disaster. Phoenixes together with Roachling. Serral fires up a bunch of Spine Crawlers right now. Also builds up a bunch of defensive Roaches. Stalkers coming up right here for Goblin. But indeed, the Team Red is just about ready to go for a push. We have some Banelings coming up. Keep in mind, by the way, that in 2v2, you can also share resources. So that might also be going on. Like, if you want to go for a really refined attack, you could be, for example, mining a ton of gas and then giving it to your ally. Honestly, kind of a scary-looking push, but I don't know if the Phoenixes are really going to help out that much. Another Nexus is building right now for Shameless, who is still just pumping out more and fires up even an additional Stargate. I don't think we're going anywhere. We're just building Phoenixes and then more Phoenixes. And then after we build more Phoenixes, guess what? We built more Phoenixes. And maybe we go into carriers eventually. But for now, it's just going to be Phoenixes. No +1, no ranged upgrade for them. None of that. Now, he can effectively lift up most of these Protoss units, though, of the opponent. Honestly, this could be a move, right? Like, if you go in, lift up all of the Stalkers, or at least a bunch of them, and then have your Zerg, well, ally surrounding all of it. Here we go again, though. Phoenixes swoop in, lift up half the mineral line, and will disappear. Yeah. And this is pricey. Like, this is a lot of damage done. Some Zerglings of Serral are slipping through the cracks, but the defense is good enough. Interesting how we don't really have any sort of upgrade for them, right? Like, we could go +1 air attacks. We could go into a fleet beacon here and maybe fire up the ranged upgrade for these Phoenixes, but he's doing none of that. This is just pure Phoenix, that's it. Serral's going Hive right now, getting the Infestors going. He's also getting himself a 4th hatchery. GgMaChine sees it immediately, tries to jump on it, not going to happen. What about the Phoenixes now, though? Roaches are armored, so at the very least they take a little while before they're, well, obliterated here. Now the Phoenixes are zoning. Serral's gonna lose his 4th hatch. Now the fleet beacon is coming. Now the +1 air weapons is researching. I don't mind this position here for Team Red at all. Like, this is... Team Basilisk is struggling, man. Like, they're not in a good spot. Serral is trying to win by basically brute forcing, you know, the amount of stuff that he can produce in the long run. So he's going, he's going into that late game army. Likewise, right now, though, from like Lingbane, we now effectively go straight into Lurkers. I'm sure we have some other units out too, like those Roaches and Ravagers, but it's been a very quick tech right now towards those Lurkers. Overlord drops are going to be added into the mix too. Yeah, we got some fungals here. Infestor gets killed. My problem is that Serral and Goblin are approaching this game like they are a punching bag, when you really don't need to be playing like that. Look, now the carriers. Now the carriers are coming up. Full transition to carriers. What does Goblin have to fight it? He's got Stalkers. What does Serral have to fight it? He's got 3 Queens. The Skytle's army is effectively free to do whatever they like. Now, GgMaChine is now maxed. I wonder if he's been given, indeed, some of those resources. It would not be a bad idea. Here we go again. Phoenixes swoop in. Probes are trying to run. You guys can't run. Serral's coming in, though, with the... Ooh, can we do a wombo combo? Ooh! It's trying. Parasitic bombs and fungal growths. Shameless, though, saw it coming in from a mile away. Oh, still decide... No! Clump him! Don't clump him! Ooh. What? What was that, man? You saw them and then you still clumped it? That was so risky. Maybe just, yeah, it's a little scary, I guess, when you're playing against a goat. Maybe feeling the nerves as well. Bunch of banelings trying to go through. Lucky for them, Phoenixes are rather beefy units. They have a bunch of hit points. They have 180 HP in total. So that doesn't mean that Parasitic Bomb needs to be taken into consideration, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, let's see. Well, this army here for the Zerg and the Protoss, though, the army in blue, is scary looking now. Serral may have just done the Serral thing yet again. In the meantime, Phoenixes are swooping in. They are killing loads of probes. But this main army right here from Team Basilisk is really, really strong. Phoenixes swoop in around the site. Man, so many probes have died. In the meantime, we have a full-on counterattack here. Cool guys don't look at explosions, nor do they look at corrosive bow landings. So instead, we're just going to snipe bases. I mean, Serral just lost 2 hatcheries here. Looks like the Phoenixes, though... Wait, what happened to all of them? Sorry, I looked away for just a moment. I think the Phoenixes may have been wombo comboed yet again. So this is about 10-15 seconds ago of the in-game time. Ah, I think I know what happened. Parasitic bombs. Bunch of Phoenixes, indeed, will fly into the Hydras, too. I thought maybe there would be a fungal growth involved, but not the case. What about the fight over here at the front? Carriers, together with the mothership, joining in. Stalkers will blink underneath. Time Warp, though, is going to force that army in blue to back up. Okay. Looks like reinforcing Serral units are indeed going to take care of those roaches. Oh, Serral takes a bunch of balls to the face. Uncharacteristic mistake right there. +3 coming up for Goblin. Now finally researching charge as well. One of those upgrades you usually see a little bit sooner. Serral tries to go in with a roach counterattack. Now encounters a bunch of lurkers, though. Stalkers, in the meantime, of Goblin are getting underneath. Ugh, Shameless is trying his absolute best to hold on against his army. Now the Zerg units of his teammate here are also joining in with Goblin's troops, so it's a little bit scary. The mothership, though, and the Skytles is strong. Problem is, now a lot of Hydralisks are also joining in the fray. In the meantime, GgMaChine, rather than defending his ally at home, he put a bunch of lurkers in this location, decides to go in for the counterattack. And you know what? Maybe the best defense is the offense. This is going to sacrifice these roaches, yes. They're not getting the best traits, but it is now giving those carriers a bunch of time to rebuild interceptors. Okay, apparently we really want to go in. Nice cloaking field activated on the Mama ship, preventing that Protoss army in blue from sniping the Nexus. And Shameless is like... He's, I guess, dodging bullets left, right, and center, right? Like he's in the Matrix right now, holding off effectively 2 armies by himself, aided by a bunch of lurkers as well now, and Hydralisk joining in the fray. But you know what? The Nexus is still alive, and the economy here is not that bad. Close game. Beautiful game. A roach gets spotted. That indicates right now that, again, Serral's units are heading down to the bottom of the map. Lurkers no longer present over here. Apparently, GgMaChine pulled them away. He already won against Serral once. Yeah, he wants to keep the ball rolling. In the meantime, ooh, okay. One of the carriers ends up going down. Counterattack right now as well by the Ground Toss player. That's another carrier that explodes. The majority, though, of the Skytles army was all the way up north. And yeah, we see a Nexus dying here, but he also ended up killing a hatchery of his own. Lurkers on hold fire! Lurkers on hold fire! That's a disaster right here for those Archons. They're gonna have to come up with another plan. Not enough Hydras over here, though, for Serral, I don't think. Time Warp does indeed land. Ultimately, Mama herself ends up getting sniped. Bunch of roaches here for Serral in the meantime have somehow slipped through the cracks, but now GgMaChine is on the hunt. Carriers are joining in as well, and this is looking like an absolute bulldozer of an army right here for Team Red. That's another base dying. Vipers of Serral are being abducted. GgMaChine having a grand old time. Definitely needs to reposition where those lurkers are, but Team Basilisk can't hold it. GG. Whew. Okay. That means that we are now looking at match point for Team StalnieBalls. Still don't know what that means. Spawning right here in the bottom left, we're looking inside of the main base of Shameless. All the way in the upper side, the upper side? Sure, the upper side of the map. We're looking at Goblin's main base. Oh, I gotta say, the Team League format. Please let me know what you think of it. I am loving it. I think it's a really nice way to get some eyes on, well, maybe some players not everybody is familiar with. It also obviously creates more of like a team spirit. We have matchups like, for example, Zerk versus Zerk and Protoss versus Protoss that are actually very entertaining to watch now because, well, I know they're not necessarily everybody's favorite, but yeah, I can imagine committing to like a best of 5 of watching Protoss versus Protoss may not be your favorite way to spend your free time. But when it's, you know, all on the line and you never really know exactly what you're gonna get, it is an absolute banger. And it certainly keeps things fresh. It keeps things very interesting. Okay. Let's see. That now means that Team Basilisk and Goblin, cannot lose a map. They cannot lose a single game anymore, or they will indeed lose their best of 7 in a matchup where many of the viewers would certainly have expected them to be the favorites. Now, let me look up real quick what Goblin's current world ranking is. Goblin's currently the rank 37. Yeah, the rank 37. The #1 player from Croatia. Always nice to see. Shameless, I can look that up as well. Big shout out, by the way, to Nicoract, which is a statistics website for StarCraft 2. Very good for all of this sort of stuff. Shameless is currently the rank 33 in the world, the #2 from Russia. Yeah, so currently, as far as players from Russia go, we have Skilless, who's considered to be the #1, and then we have Shameless, YoungYakov, Nicoract, and GgMaChine. So basically, out of the top 5 best players from Russia, 4 players right here are playing in this particular team. Skilless has been living over in the Netherlands for a long time. And I don't know if he's actually... He may be playing under, the Liquid banner, of course. I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, I love it. If you are enjoying this as well, please let me know. And I would certainly be interested in casting some more of the Team League. Big shout out to Wardy, by the way, for hosting not just this, but all of the tournaments that the man hosts. There's a ridiculous amount of StarCraft happening because of that one man. Anyways, Goblin right here going into a Nexus on the low ground eventually after opening up with the double gateways on top of the high ground. Likewise right here as well for Shameless. His follow-up is more Stalkers, which is a little bit more of the standard. Still though, opting to go for a quick sentry is not that weird. Hallucinated Phoenix Scouts are really, really good. And some years ago, sentries actually did get a damage buff. So sentries don't really do very well against anything, but they deal bonus damage to shields now. Meaning that they're not entirely pointless in this particular matchup. They're, they didn't get buffed against Zerk. They didn't get buffed against Terran. I mean, at least not with their actual damage output. But when it comes to, tickling shields, they're not so awful anymore. Twilight Councils on both sides of the map. Now, obviously, Shameless is the one going for those slower Nexus and the faster additional Stalkers. Because of that, he's had the movement speed advantage, and he wanted to test the waters for a moment on the other side of the map. Mostly just scaring his opponent, though, not really committing to anything big. Twilight Councils, though, are hidden inside of the main bases on both sides of the map, and Blink is coming up right now for Shameless, and I would imagine we're going to see the same thing right here for Goblin. Right now. There we go. All right. So, we've been poking at each other for a little bit. We've been testing the waters, but ultimately... I mean, this is Protoss in a nutshell. Protoss is, of course, the one race in StarCraft that usually doesn't have a lot of units. At least not compared to, for example, Zerk and Terran, right? Like, there's some playstyles, I guess, from Terran where you have a much more high HP type of army, too. But that is Protoss in a nutshell in general. Less units, but individual ones that are all more powerful. Losing literally anything in the early game can actually just be game over in PvP. So these hallucinated Phoenix Scouts are annoying, right? But both players are using them. Shameless is constantly scouting out exactly what's happening on the other side of the map. And the same can be said as well right now for Goblin. So he's checking out. He knows, okay, this is all looking normal. Everything's fine. We don't really have to commit to anything crazy. Keeping tabs of where your opponent is at is very normal in PvP. Goblin decides to play that third base chicken. He's the one to blink first, and we likewise also have one right now on the other side of the map, with Shameless building his own all the way at the bottom. Goblin, of course, though, not the one who really has any real wiggle room anymore in this match. Serral and Reynor have both lost, so what do? You are now the one that needs to keep the team spirit high, and while you're capable of doing so, you would have really expected both Serral and Reynor to win their respective matches, and now it's all on your shoulders. Shameless, though, in the meantime, obviously they will be talking with their teammates as well. Shameless, in the meantime, will have discussed strategies as to what he should go for. Now, in my mind, he's not a very cheesy player in the times that I've seen him play, but, I mean, right now, I guess you could go for mass aggression. You could definitely go for something cheesy if you want to. Pressure, though, is certainly here on Goblin. Yeah, I guess one big advantage, though, of playing team games, and this is why many people that I know really enjoy, for example, playing League of Legends or Dota or Counter-Strike or whatever. It's never your fault, right? It's taking responsibility for your actions. Ugh, nobody. Nah, we no, we don't want that. That's disgusting. Blame your teammates. This is a working theory of mine. I don't know if it's true. I'm never going to be able to prove it, but I really still think that's why most competitive games that are really popular in 2026, most of them are team-based. I still really feel like it's because you can blame your teammates and you don't have to take responsibility for the loss. Like, we judge ourselves by our intentions, right? And we judge others by their actions, which is, I feel like that sums up team games in a nutshell. It's one of the things that actually blows my mind whenever I've tried my hand at like playing League and Dota and all the rest of it, and I just, maybe I'm just a bad teammate or something, but it eats me up. That one guy in the lobby before the game even starts that is like clearly not paying attention, clearly making dinner at the same time, just AFKing half of the game and not really helping out with any sort of team battle at all, and, you know, something like, why do you have to be so serious? You're never gonna be pro anyway. Past Lowko did not handle that well. Past Lowko does not. It's not for me, man. I like winning. I don't want to play at something. Like, I'm okay with losing, but only if I know that I tried, you know? If I know the team tried, it's not a problem. If you play with friends, look, it's a different story. But if you're trying to rank up, I kind of hate it. But luckily for us, we have games like StarCraft where, you know, you can blame balance. You can blame balance and map design and the balance council. And if you're old like me, David Kim instead, you know? There's alternatives to blaming your lag. You can, yeah, internet. Mom picking up the phone. Why is mom picking up the phone again, man? My dial-up internet, it disconnected. I couldn't win that game because of it. Anyways, how did I even get there? Right. So, long story short, a lot of pressure right here on Goblin. Both players, though, really just macroing up. Like, this is constantly scouted, right, by the both of them. We see these hallucinated phoenixes going around left, right, and center. But ultimately, we're just trying to stay alive. It's one of the scary things about PvP, right? You need to make a really large army here, but you know your opponent is doing the same thing. Okay, so, where do we end up? After my slight tangent. We have a very, very, very similar army for both players. Like, look at the units tab right now. There's some minor changes here and there, some minor differences, but it all comes down to the fight! Zealots do definitely have to be in the front. Archons deal splash damage, so keep in mind you want them to be engaging against your opponent's Zealots. Speaking of which, both players trying to do the same thing. Are we gonna do the Legacy of the Void cinematic? Are we just gonna clash armies? I mean, there's no Zerk in this game, I guess, but are we just gonna clash? This, by the way, is not quite normal for Protoss versus Protoss, in case you haven't seen PvP in a while. My god. So you want the Archons to be shooting at all of them. Oh, yo, blink forward right here. Shameless does kill Goblin's Prism. But the question is, was that the right choice? I don't think so. He lost a lot of units. Still, though, it means that it's difficult right now to reinforce all of this. So more reinforcements in the meantime warped in by that Prism of Shameless. A literal staring contest. Who blinks first? Get it? With the stalkers? Lowko, you're so funny. I'm gonna hit the like button. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Shield batteries, of course, very nice. Likewise, ooh, hallucinated void rays, not so nice. Likewise as well, the photon cannons are really good. Immortal right now in the front. Big warp in right here for Goblin. Both players trying to get that supply advantage, but neither really achieving it. Eco-wise, we have also not really seen any losses. That's another Archon going down. Archons right here for Goblin, though, are still staying alive. There's an absolute cinema of PvP right here. Both players trying so hard to micro and out-control their troops, rather. I was gonna say stuff and troops at the same time. Their stroof. Ultimately, though, Goblin does come out ahead. Wait, can we capitalize on this and immediately counter? He did rebuild the Prism. It's one of the big things, actually, with sniping the Prism. You don't usually have that many robo facilities, right? So even if the Prism itself, resource-wise, is a relatively small loss, you need to rebuild it. Like, you can't really do anything without it, meaning that you are taking up valuable production time that could have gone to Immortals, right? Or that could have gone to Observers or literally anything else. Disruptor's also still something that you can get to, but the transition is not so easy. +3 ground attacks coming up for the both of them. Neither of them really trying to get their armor upgrades just yet. We end up with basically pure Zealot Archon, though, for both. Another 10 units get warped in right there for Goblin. He has a few Stalkers left over and tries to figure out when the world's happening. Likewise, now we have a couple Stalkers here coming in around the side. He would have loved to get the free kill, not just on the opponent's Observer, but also on the Prism. By far the juiciest target. Goblin had a nice little supply advantage, and it's still not bad. But pushing and attacking is just so scary, right? The strength of being the defensive player is not to be underestimated. Now, interestingly enough, Shameless actually didn't have any static defense here. He didn't have any extra, I don't know, like shield batteries or photon cannons or anything else along those lines. The problem is when you have a full Zealot army is that there's very little control you can actually do. Like, your micro mostly comes down to hitting the attack move button. And apparently that is when Goblin decides to pull the trigger. Shameless responds with a very similar move as well. My god, this is a crazy game. The nice thing right here, though, is that we have the +3 attack already done for the troops in red. The ones right here for Goblin did not quite have their upgrades finished, but he had the superior numbers. So does it end up being mostly a wash? We do have a little bit of backpedaling right now on some of the more expensive troops. Prism is nearby. There's likewise also a Prism right here in red, but he's going to now unsiege it so he can save, yep, indeed, a couple of those units. Okay. Time to find your friend. Morph into an Archon. We'll be fighting another day. 71 probes versus 61. That is a big difference. Look, if we have these fights, right, where it's mostly a wash between the armies, if you are producing, like, say, like 15% more than your opponent or so, quick math. Maybe I should never do math. Anyways, if you are producing more than your opponent, you end up with far more units as well. And that's where that 20 supply difference is coming from right now for Goblin. He's also affording the +1 armor research. The problem is he doesn't know, right? Like, it's... that's the issue. In ZVZ, you know that your opponent can only be making drones or army. Not really both at the same time, but in PvP, it's not so straightforward. Stalker's trying to go in around the side. Shameless now also getting a nice little surround squad ready to go. Goblin, though, taking up shop right over here on the high ground. He's got some other units running in. Is there enough this time around for the Croatian player to push this army away? Careful on that ramp. Archons deal so much splash damage. A robo facility, though, on a gateway have already gone down, and Goblin is just trying to set up the semblance of a concave here. Getting the superior engagement for sure. Still, not his entire army is actually present and fighting here because he does have some of it split up, but this is certainly better for the player in blue in the end. GG gets cold, and that means that indeed Basilisk gets a point on the board. Okay, next up, we have two players that have not been seen in the Team League just yet. This is like, you know, the teams using up their next Pokemon. Spawning right here in the upper right-hand corner of Celestial Enclave. We're looking inside of the main base of YoungYakov. By the way, apparently StalnieBalls means balls of steel. I probably could have translated that if I tried. His opponent, down in the bottom left, playing in red, we have none other than Trigger. Okay, now we all know that Trigger is a bit of a monster. YoungYakov, by the way, also a beast. YoungYakov, he ended up winning pretty much all of the junior leagues in StarCraft 2. So we used to have a very active junior scene as well. This was hosted by Alpha X and a bunch of other folks too. Anyhow, these days it's not really that active anymore. But YoungYakov was extremely strong in those particular leagues. And while he hasn't been, I don't know, I kind of expected him to, like, after performing so well in those junior divisions, I kind of expected him to then also perform really well when he ultimately turned 16. Right now, according to his Wikipedia, he's born in 2004. How old does that make him? 22? I guess he's still young. Young-ish Yakov. We may have to change our... Old Yakov is going to be in like a decade from now, okay? When he's going to be in his 30s. That may as well be ancient. That's crazy. Anyways, he's currently the rank 35 on the planet. Now, again, this is technically a good matchup right here for Team Basilisk. Obviously, so far it's been Goblin carrying the dead weight. That is Serral and Reynor. My god. Goblin the GOAT. Anyways, Trigger right now, as of me recording this, the rank 14 on the planet, and the rank 1 from Canada. Although I believe that Trigger does spend the majority of his time over in Korea these days. He's got his own place there from what I understand, and he's been practicing StarCraft over there for a while. Yeah, actually, no, there is a player on the European server that plays under the ID of Old Yakov. And if I'm not mistaken, that's none other than Solar. So Solar's been trolling a little bit lately. I kind of love it. Yeah, it's kind of a fun little mini mind game, I suppose. Either way, it's going to be a Stargate opener right here for Trigger. No surprise. Triple hatch opener right here for Yakov. I think Yakov alone, by the way, is a good username, no? Like, just Yakov? I guess it's just the name. Isn't it just the name? I mean, in the Netherlands, nobody names their kids Yakov, but I guess it's just Jacob, isn't it? I think it's just like the Russian version of Jacob. Anyway, extra queens coming up right here. Link speed is going to be fired up momentarily. A pretty greedy opener from Yakov. Ooh, nice little bit of micro though on those links. He needs to be careful. Adept shades all the way to that pocket expansion. Ooh, nice morph. Brenda has her work cut out for her. You need to make little pockets here to actually be able to morph in the drone. Nice target firing right there by Trigger. It needs to be said. He does lose the Adept in the end. Another Adept, though, does show up. So the problem is that you need a 2x2 space for a Spore Crawler to morph in. But, obviously, the drones, I mean, are going to be clumping up together. They're going to be bunching up together, and it's difficult to actually make the structure. So Trigger, on purpose there, trying to pick the drone, target fire down the drone that's in the middle of the pack. So if you target that one down, it's much harder to actually morph into Spore Crawler. It's a tiny little detail, but it did allow him some extra kills. Now the Oracle is going to join in as well. Oh, despite losing the 2 Adepts, he actually did fire up the horizontal base right here on the Celestial Enclave. You got to make sure that you are able to keep that one around. Yakov, though, opening up with such a greedy third hatchery that he doesn't have link speed done yet. And this is not a good start anymore for the Zerg, man. Like, you end up taking a bit of a gamble, right? Like, you get all of this economy going. But likewise, you just don't have that many units, and your actual link speed cannot really counter this timing on the third Nexus. Which is one of the reasons that a triple hatch opener like this, a gases opener, is technically a little risky. We see it sometimes, especially the Koreans seem to be reasonably fond of it. Ugh, ugh, ugh. Trigger is, he's triggering right now. Trigger has become the verb that he always wanted to be. I don't know if he always wanted to be that, but still. 9 drones, not even 5 minutes into the game. I mean, it's not been free, but 3 adepts is very acceptable. You know what? It's not even the end of it yet. Yeah, that Korea practice helping out so far, huh? Okay. We got ourselves a blink on the back of this. We should really, there we go, fire up the +1 armor as well. Looks like eventually a 4th hatchery will indeed start for YoungYakov, but it's all a little bit messy. It's all a little bit slow. Hydra then on the back of this as well now, though. Skipping out on the Roach Warren, skipping out on the Baneling Nest. Yeah, YoungYakov has been actually really strong for a long time, but sometimes, you know, sometimes we see players participating in leagues and they seem promising and they seem to be improving really rapidly, and you kind of expect them to be taking down pro gamers in a few months' time. On the regular, I guess it's difficult to really make that step. I know he's been playing. Anyways, adepts are dealing a bunch of damage now, but this isn't even really Trigger's real attack. Trigger is just shading around, getting some freebies. The real attack will come when the Stalkers move across. Well, and this is the magic of the top-of-the-line pros, like, for example, Trigger, who I really do consider to be one of the best. When he is in, like, when he's playing a good game of StarCraft, he can beat anybody. When you're going up against guys of this caliber, they just seem to deal more damage with their early game units. Like, it's just 21 drones. Look at this, 21 drones. 21 drones for 8 adepts. That's ridiculous value. Supply count still, well, identical. That's mostly because Zerg has been super duper greedy, but this is certainly an advantage right now here for Trigger, who is not going for, like, he's decided not to push the issue. He's just going into the follow-up here. Yeah, double Robo, we're going into the Storm. We may even go into Colossus. I wouldn't even be surprised if we end up going for a Robo Bay. He's going for static defense. Yeah, this man is chilling. Again, right, the Team League is on the line. You're not just playing your own best of 1 here, but you're also playing for the team. So maybe in a normal game, maybe in a ladder game, he would have pushed the issue now. He would have pulled the trigger. Lowko, I'm gonna subscribe. Thanks, guys. But right now, I think the better thing to do is just to relax. There's really no reason to be too risky. We should definitely go Robo Bay, though. Should we not go Robo Bay? Like, we made double Robo. Should we not? Oh, actually, did he cancel one of the Robos? He did. He canceled one of the Robos. Okay. 4th Nexus is just about to start. It's just beginning. Got ourselves the charge research as well added into the mix. A revelation onto some of those Lings and Hydras, but... Okay. Just like the Protoss versus Protoss we just had a look at, the Protoss players are not feeling too committed. Protoss players have commitment issues today. Yeah. Look, we've all been there. Sometimes trying to decide and making up your mind whether or not what you're trying to do and if it's the right thing to do. Like, those things may not always be in sync, but at some point you have to make the call, you know? Min-maxing the video game may be doable, though. Ooh, Brenda ends up getting sniped. Yeah, I guess in Trigger's mind, right? If he can just go and max out, life's gonna be great. What is Zerg gonna be able to do when you've dealt that much damage to them? Are they really gonna make a quick transition towards Hive? Probably not. Okay, Yakov decides to put all of his eggs in one Overlord drop. It's a relatively small basket, if you ask me, but it is a scary one. Yep, there we go. We're taking the jets. We're vacationing on the side of the Protoss. That's nice. Nice little storm. Yep, not bad. What about the push over here, though? Trigger does not see this. He has no idea that it's coming. we embrace the glory of battle. Well, I hope you guys embrace this fight over here too. Recall is going to be used here. We have a bunch of the units now also going into the main base. Hydras are just going to get absolutely ravaged. What about the Zealots in the meantime on the other side of the map? Not achieving too much over there. And suddenly the entire mini-map alights. A bunch of damage being done here, yes. And that fight looks scary, but I don't think I really hate it here for Trigger. Still, 9 probes is 9 probes. Just not an easy map to engage on right here for Yakov. And my problem here with this army is that it's gonna fizzle out. The longer that it stays on Hydra-based tech, as long as it stays on like this mid-game based tech, I think it's just gonna get worse. Trigger did already put down a fleet beacon. Yeah, there it is. So we can make Mama. And what in the world does Zerg have against Mama? Yep, there she is. Mama! Yeah, they've got nothing. There's gonna be, like, I guess a bunch of Hydras. Whoop-de-doo. Hydra's not ideal. What we really need to have is Hive Tech, and preferably a Spire as well. Mama is kind of like the cherry on top. She's a big cherry. Yo, Mama is such a big cherry. She's a Mama ship. Anyways, it's a scary cherry, but the Zerg does not really have an answer for it at the moment. Likewise, though, this army over here may already be good enough. I think just waiting here, dancing on the perimeter of the creep is smart, but just get the Mama ship added into the mix. I think it's just going to make this so much more powerful. Because Zerg does not have a good answer for this army as it is, and I think the Mothership is just going to make it even better. We start up 1 Tempest as well. Okay, fair enough. Don't really mind that, but +1 air weapons. You know what? If we're going to do that, maybe we need to add on 2 more Stargates. Yeah, he does add another one. Okay, fair. Mama itself, though, I would love to see a committed push with her joining in. And what does Zerg have against it? Cloaking Field is awesome. Time Warp is incredible. Even just the damage output against these flimsy Zerg units here is sick. Okay, Prism joining in. We do not have the Hydralisk dash. Okay, well, this is all a little ugly, I will say. Looks like just barely will that Tempest survive. Cloak gets activated on the Mothership, and that is indeed making life a little bit better. Not the best engagement, though. I kind of hate it, but Trigger did secure this middle base now because of this movement. He's starting to pump out 2 Tempests at once. Yakov actually playing a pretty formidable macro game on the back of this, though. He's now getting that ranged upgrade for Lurkers, meaning that he is at Hive Tech now. He may have lost the base over there in the middle, but he still has a ton of gas coming in. Gas really is the main bottleneck. Mama, Time Warp, do we have one? No, not yet available, but the storms are juicy. This opens up some supply for more Skytals. Yep. In the meantime, we had some Zealots being sent around. The Prism apparently ended up getting destroyed. Trying to do a little bit of creep clearing, it seems. Oh, Balinks! Oh, nice hits! Trigger lost, 10 High Templar in this game. Getting a little overly ambitious, moving on to creep, it has to be said. Lurker numbers are growing now. +3 missile coming up as well. Yakov is actually playing this out really, really, really nicely. Considering how terrible his early game was, like he got torn apart by those Oracles and those Adepts, he has actually done a good job microing his way out of this situation. There's now 4 Stargates available. Not too shabby. Spire really needs to be done, though, and that has me a little bit concerned. We have a recall here towards the Mama ship. Oh. Man, that was dramatic. He recalled an observer. Oh, Lurkers mispositioned. Trigger playing the absolute safest game of Protoss, by the way, that you can pretty much play reasonably. Like, throughout this game, it's been ridiculously safe. He could have really pushed the issue. Honestly, right at the very start, when the Adepts first dealt that much damage, when the Oracles first went through and killed like 20 drones, he could have gone for the Stalker attack and possibly won the game, but he decided to just slowly play it out, at the risk of Zerg being able to recover. And still, this feels very safe, right? Like, should we not just commit to, like, full Sky Toss? I mean, he is slowly whittling away, though, at a lot of these expensive Zerg units. But you do want to be... You have to be cautious here, because if you're going up against Lurkers, if you're going up against Banelings, High Templar just are so flimsy. I think this is still good enough, though. Yeah, GG here ultimately gets called. Trigger playing the safest game of his life, but he gets a point on the board for Basilisk. More 2v2? Yeah, more 2v2. Match point number 3 right here for the Balls of Steel. We have Shameless, joined by none other than YoungYakov. And their opponents, we're looking inside of the main base of Serral, who's now going to be joined by Trigger. Okay. Oh, no, we're not doing red versus blue anymore? No! This is why we have tournament admins, okay? To shout at players. Change color! At Serral, can you please change color? We should have had blue and light blue going up against red and... light red? Oh, well, this is going to get confusing. But we have upper left going up against bottom right on a map called Rohana. Last time around, Serral and Goblin at the time, but Serral and his teammate ended up playing a very passive game. And while they were reasonably close to getting the job done, I think it's kind of risky. I just think it's way better to go for something aggressive, because it's just much more straightforward to coordinate. Like, just in general, honestly, in any strategy game, I have found that usually being aggressive, at least in something competitive, usually being aggressive is better. At least up to a certain level, right? Like, I think in StarCraft 2, you can cheese your way to Grandmaster League, and in Grandmaster League, folks will start holding it, but I think most people would be very pleased with hitting Grandmaster League. You know what I mean? I think risking it, especially in a relatively undiscovered... like strategy game, like 2v2 in StarCraft 2 is obviously not new, but it's reasonably undiscovered. I don't think it would be a bad idea to just play more aggressively. That's all I'm saying. Anyhow, for now, nobody's making any moves in that direction, although we do have a double gateway opener right here for Trigger. In the meantime, Yakov just ended up going for a hatchery into a gas and then a spawning pool as well. Should be able to get that link speed going here very, very soon. Shameless also opening up with a double gateway start here. We also don't have the observer tools added to this particular game. You know what probably happened here? Maybe the players hosted their own lobby or something. I'm not exactly sure. Usually, you know the little boxes that appear on structures when they're building something or when something is being researched? That is not actually part of StarCraft 2's core game, but it's something like it's an observer tool. That got made by one of the community members. Anyhow, those observer tools usually get added as like a mod to the actual game lobby. And if you, if you don't, we don't get all of those fancy extra tools and all the little bars that we like to look at. It's the same for like the vision on a minimap. I've had some people ask like, hey, why do we sometimes see player vision on the minimap and sometimes we don't? It's because the host did not add it to the lobby. I cannot add it after the fact, sadly. So I'm kind of dependent on whatever the host of the tournament ended up doing. Wardy is always very on point with it, though. Maybe it doesn't work for 2v2. Actually, maybe it just does not work for 2v2. That could be. All right, we have a bunch of Zerglings moving across the map right now for Yakov. Yeah, Shameless actually going for a rather shameless pylon here, out on the other side of the map. And you know what? I mean, I just mentioned it, right? I think being the aggressor is better. Serral, though, did already see this coming in. Team Basilisk here is going to try their absolute best to just make as much static defense as possible. Now, Trigger is stacking all of it together. That means that the Banelings might be able to get some splash damage done. Serral has his own Banelings, though. There we go. We do get some splash damage onto the Spine Crawlers. Still, though, Team Basilisk is buying a lot of time. There's always force field range available here, so the Zerglings can't just go into the main very easily. Plenty of shield batteries available, too, though. Trigger and Serral are doing a wonderful job here, holding on thus far. Yakov and Shameless are going to continue pushing. Shameless actually hits a supply block. That's a big mistake. He is going to be stuck at 47 out of 47 for a while, as he only just now started a pylon. Okay, that's honestly really sweet. One way to, I guess, try and clean up some supply is to lose a bunch of units. But that's usually suboptimal, especially when you're going for these stalker attacks. More and more Stalkers, though, are being warped in. Ooh, Baneling. Serral really trying to zone to the absolute best of his abilities. Likewise, we have Shameless there trying to target fire down the opponent's Banes. Nice snipe right there by Trigger. Yeah, I think the static defense here is just so bloody nice. Having a bunch of these shield batteries just keeps the Stalkers alive for a long, long time. We're doing all of this, by the way, off of a very low worker count. I do like this spot quite a bit better. Like, assuming we go back to a macro game, this is a superior position for Serral and for Trigger. Serral's worker count is nothing amazing, but I don't mind the spot that Trigger is in. Trigger may be carrying everything, guys. The Protoss players on Team Basilisk may actually be carrying it. Spine is also sweet. That Spine just deals so much damage. Immortal joining in. Immortal is sick, dude. Getting an Immortal here. Boom. Every time it fires on one of those Stalkers, I mean, they're low HP, it pretty much always ends up going down. As long as you can tiptoe it back within range of the shield battery, life is going to be okay. And after just a few seconds, okay, the Immortal already has 3 confirmed kills. GG gets cold. And that means that Basilisk brings it back. It all comes down to this. The rubber match. The Balls of Steel. They were leading this best of 7 series 3-0. But now the score has been evened up to 3-3. Spotting right here in the upper left of this final game of the day. We're looking inside of the main base of Shameless. Down in the bottom right. You know him. You love him. We have Serral. Serral getting cheesed in the first game of this match. And clearly, he did not know how to hold it. He clearly did not expect it whatsoever. And he got caught off guard. I really thought he had scouted it well. That he saw it coming in from a mile away. But maybe he just did not expect the SCV pool, right? I mean, the SCV pool really, yeah, it was like the cherry on top of that, that all-in. Anyways, now we go up against Shameless. Shameless is usually a lot more macro-focused. So I think that will suit Serral just fine. Seriously, like if you're playing a game of Protoss versus Zerg and you're playing against Serral, do you really want to play the long game? This is actually a bit of a disconnect. It's one of the weird things I think about Protoss versus Zerg, right? So what we see very commonly against Serral is that people try to play their best strategy. So I don't know what Shameless is going to be doing in this game, but usually most Protoss players, most like strong ladder players, are really confident in their macro game because they win the vast majority of the late games of Protoss versus Zerg on the ladder. Not a lot of Zerg players out there, I mean like literally like a handful, can actually play late game Protoss versus Zerg competitively. Most of the time, it seems to be pretty Protoss favored. So if Shameless is like playing on the ladder, right, and he wins pretty much all of his PvZ late games, he may be under the assumption here that he can be, yeah, beating Serral in the late game too, but Serral's micro and late game control is just on another level. So what we have seen in the past in like the really big tournaments is that when Protoss players that normally play macro have to go up against Serral, they suddenly start doing some of the dumbest strategies ever. Because they see guys like Hero play macro against him and it doesn't really work, and then they see Hero playing some cheesy builds and suddenly Hero can actually play the competitive macro game against Serral too, right? So I don't know exactly what category Shameless is going to be in here, but I wonder if playing like his normal, his straight up macro game is actually the smart thing to do. We'll see. By the way, nothing to take away from Nicoract in that very first game of the day. It was definitely a misread from Serral, but also a crisp execution there from the Terran. By the way, we have our nice little mini-map boxes back. So the blue and the red boxes on the mini-map indicate where the players are looking. It's one of those little things that got added to StarCraft 2 games a few years ago at this point. Recently. But it is a really clean addition. I actually think the StarCraft 2 interface is pretty much perfect. Adept swoop in. Achieve nothing. In contrast to that game that we saw between YoungYakov and Trigger, right? Like, I mean, so far, these adepts have already gotten nothing done. Are we gonna commit? Metabolic boost is done. No, Serral apparently decided to call the bluff. He wants to hunt down those 2 adepts, but he doesn't know where they are. Overlord is scouting the 3rd base location. Oracle already coming in. Okay, let's see. Spore Crawler coming up. 1 drone? 2 drone? Yep, not bad. 3 drone is real good. In the meantime, though, the adepts on the other side of the map microed against nicely, too. I don't think there's quite enough links to really be a hinder here. Yeah, this is honestly well managed. Oh, no! Wait, what? Don't, no. No, 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 no. Ah! Oh. Okay, well, you know what? I take it all back. The hindrance of the Zerglings did turn out to be problematic. Not for the Adepts so much. I mean, 2 Adepts died, but they're irrelevant. Sorry about them. But for an Oracle, losing an Oracle like that is really, really bad. It's not what you want, man. Like, you need this unit to stay alive. It's one of the big downsides of playing Protoss in general. Like, you don't have a lot of units. I mean, he again gets 3 kills. That's really quite good. But these are the types of units that gain more value as the game progresses. Revelation is awesome. It can be good from early game all the way into the late game. You can use Oracles in combination with Tempest in the late game, but if your opponent is going Lurkers or Nidus Worms, using them for vision is absolutely critical. Now you have to make the decision. Do you just call it quits on those 2 Oracles that you now have, or do you rebuild the 3rd one? I guess if you're gonna play 3, it's fine to just sort of have 2 flying around, but immediately when you lose one of those Oracles, like if this was against Solar, Solar would already be flying the queens across the map. Looks like Serral is not gonna punish his opponent for it all too much, but immediately Zerg will consider going for some sort of all-in. Serral is celebrating the advantage now, though, by building up a 4th hatchery, meaning that it's a relatively small advantage now for him. Not really something that he's gonna capitalize on too much, but rather than risking it, no, another 3 drones do end up dying. Serral's trying to get more ahead. 9 drones in total. Can hardly complain about that. As Shameless. Got ourselves an extra gateway added into the mix, and then of course also the Templar Archives on the back of it, and we have Charge as the very first upgrade together with +1. This reminds me of the Hero build. Hero is a big fan of this. No +1 melee though here for Serral. So it's not the end of the world for him. He decides to go for a quick Hydra then, together with Roach Speed. You will see the Prism moving out right now. He doesn't really know exactly if he's playing against Stalkers, but, I mean, it becomes pretty apparent that it's likely not going to be Stalkers. He's got a Overseer flying around as well. Prism goes in on the right side of the map. Oh, he needs a 4th. We need to make an Archon. Ah! Sorry, one of you guys doesn't have a friend. No partner allowed. Never mind. Dating apps are beautiful. You see that? One of those adepts was single for about 10 seconds, then he signed up for, whatever the Protoss equivalent of Tinder is. What's a good name for a dating app for Protoss? I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, this is nothing, man. Shameless, go home. This is terrible. Go home. Ugh. It's kind of ugly. Alright, well, at the very least, the 2 Archons are there. Blink right now on the back of this. Look at the supply count. I feel like nothing's happened over the last few minutes. Serral doing Serral things. Suddenly, skyrockets ahead. Additional pylons. How about additional pylons? That's beautiful, man. Make an account on additional pylons today. And find your Kala partner. Okay, maybe Kala partner is not very good. Find your Archon. OnlyArchons.com. 3 probes over here. The Zergling drop honestly managed nicely. Bunch of Zealots in the middle of the map. But now Serral's going for a highway. Look at this. He's on a highway to hell. And this is a very scary attack now. Shameless needs to hold this. He does not have another choice. And that is just so many freaking units right here. Stasis Ward is gonna get popped. Serral sees it coming in from a mile away. And this is now such a scary section of the map. The queens have made their way all the way over here. The queens are also going to be stepping on creep here in just a moment. Cybercore will get killed. That means no more Stalker production. Bunch of Immortals have just popped out. The little juice box appears again underneath that Cybercore. Corrosive Balls are flying left, right, and center. The double Robo production is nice, though. Shameless is finding himself stuck between a couple of different unit compositions right now, like a bunch of different armies here. Forced to now bring everything together. I think that this squad over here is not gonna survive, although the Immortal does live up to its name. Good dodging right over there on the Biles as well on those Oracles. New Immortals joined in as well from the natural expansion. Prism juggling. Can we maybe get the Prism? Snatch it? No, he does not quite snatch it in time. The other Immortal, though, does actually get sniped. Reinforcing Robo units are popping out. Serral wants to go for whatever he can truly hit. 7 probes have died thus far. More and more Protoss reinforcements, though, are added in. 12 probes. More roaches. More links. The highway has maybe got need of a little bit of maintenance. It's like the Autobahn right now, man. I feel like whenever I'm in Germany, there's always roadworks. Anyways. Alright. 18 probes in total. But Shameless lives. Serral's follow-up is a Spire. He's got 8 gases here coming in, so the amount of mutas that he can produce will be quite ridiculous. Obviously, he's going up against double Robo play, right? So when you're going up against double Robo, the Immortal count is going to be big, but look at that. We already have Shameless now, adding on a Phoenix. Actually, did he just cancel it? Oh, yeah. I was looking at the production screen right there for a sec. He decides to go and build up a Cybercore again. He now sees the continued aggression here with the Roach Ravager. So he assumes that Serral has just dumped all of his gas on Ravagers, and he sure has, but there is a lot more gas coming in on the back of this, and I wonder if Serral just suddenly appears out on the map. Really? A Spore Crawler? Okay. If Serral just suddenly appears out on the map with a ton of mutas, what in the world is Shameless going to do? Honestly, Serral is being quite shameless about this Spire. Trying to get some lucky corrosive biles. Spire, though, is going to be done. Serral makes a few more OVs. Actually, too high up on the supply count. He wants to effectively max out with, like, probably 15 mutas or so. This is effectively for Protoss, pure Archon Immortal. Little Zergling drop in the main base. Yeah, the problem here for Shameless is that he does not have any reliable anti-air. There is one photon in the natural expansion, I suppose. There's some static defense over at the third, but the main is looking wide open. Bunch of Stalkers, I guess, can be warped in. But let's see what this Muta transition can truly do. A little Zergling drop yet again. I would not mind seeing Serral tech up to a Hive. But I guess he doesn't feel like he needs it. He just wants to be able to reinforce this over and over and over again. More roaches do indeed join in, and now the little flippy flappies have found their friends from other hatcheries. Are they going to be flying in together? Shameless is going to see them now? Nope, Serral rerouted them. It looked like he was going to fly within vision there for the Protoss. Now the little Muta wings will be spotted. And this is annoying, man. There's one Phoenix about to pop. But this still feels like it is just such a problem here for Protoss. In the meantime, right, you gotta make sure you dodge the Biles. Still, there's so many Immortals available that maybe it does not matter that much. In a straight-up fight, those Immortals are just gonna hit very hard. I think the third Nexus is likely going to be next. A bunch of probes here will not be healed up by that shield battery in time. But again, the crisis management here of Shameless has been solid. New hatchery coming up all the way in the upper section of the map. Serral now taking a base that normally would be one of the Protosses later on in the game. 11 probes. Not great. Oh, Stasis Wards over here. Likewise, also not great. Protoss was thinking about moving out. Man, it's so many Archon and Immortals. It's kind of scary, right? Like, if this Protoss army goes across, it can just hurt so badly. I guess the Archons can be killed, though, and at that point, if the Archons are gone, then the Mutas are just cleaning everything else up. Serral actually has a secondary control group, it seems, of those mutas. A little funky. Yeah, they're going to be joining in. That must have been a misclick. They're going to be joining in with the main squad. Stalkers waiting in the main base. Fair enough, but yeah, we can just fly around them. And at this point, I think there's enough mutas available to start going after the Stalkers directly. 34 probes is all that remains. And what started off as a map score of 3-0 in favor of the Balls of Steel, it looks to me like slowly but surely Basilisk is coming back. Actually, correction, I think Basilisk has come back. A reverse sweep in a Team League match. I don't think I've ever seen that before. It's not over yet. It's just that these Archons and Stalkers have their work cut out for them, man. They need to kill all of the mutas. Serral goes in right now. Of course, Archons do deal splash damage. You gotta be so careful with engaging this. This is still a very scary Protoss army. It's not over yet. Shameless has one scary attack in him. I think you need to commit, man. He decides to go home. He wants to save the little bit of income that he's got. But there is a point where you want to give up on that altogether. The muta count is big. I think your only chances are to just force them to fight your Archons and to cross your fingers and hope that Zerg misengages and accidentally clumps up the mutas. Serral, rather than fighting the army, decides to go in for a counterattack instead. We now end this with a bit of a base race. I don't think Protoss is ever going to be able to win a base race, man. Especially considering we have hidden expansions out on the map as it is. There's clumps of overlords left, right, and center. Protoss is stuck in their opening quadrant, and now Serral has enough mutas to start engaging those Stalkers head on. 25 mutas versus like half that amount of Stalkers is not good for Protoss at all. And while we do see a fourth hatchery dying, we've seen the third hatchery dying too. Ultimately, the win condition right here for Shameless is to destroy all of his opponent's structures. And while there are not really that many structures in absolute numbers available here for the Zerg, Serral's got this base all the way up north. He's got this base all the way in the bottom left. This Protoss army is slow. Maybe he can kill the natural, maybe he can kill the main base. But I don't think it really matters that much. Serral, oh, it's gotta be recalled right now. Serral decides to go in for the push. Corrosive balls here because, yeah, cool guys don't look at corrosive. But ultimately, I think now the mutas are split up properly. The Archons are gonna get destroyed. The Stalkers will be cleaned up. And at that point, the Immortals will no longer be immortal. Yeah, they're gonna actually just slowly die. That's what I've been doing in IRL, I believe, right? We all are doing that, if I'm not mistaken. Like, maybe I can call myself immortal, but ultimately, I think we are just slowly getting wrecked. Sorry, that just took a very depressing turn. Anyways, great series. Very, very fun. If you want to see more of the Team League, please let me know. Ultimately, it is indeed Team Basilisk who ends up winning it 4-3, but man, did they have to fight for it. Especially the Protoss players there, man. Like, Serral and Reynor being dismantled so quickly in game number 1 and 2. Like, I think the Balls of Steel here, they were at a 2-0 lead in, like, literally under 10 minutes. That's crazy.